sure y'all will be joining us momentarily. I'm sure you're already joining. It just doesn't show anybody's watching yet.
I just got the notification.
Yeah, so people will start coming in right about now then. There we go. Hey guys, we appreciate the prayers, Dawn. Thank you. I'll let a few more people get in here and then I can talk about what's going on. I'm trying to drive carefully at the same time as look at the comments and whatnot.
I've got the comments. If I see something that stands out, I'll tell you.
Alright.
Lots of highs and drive safe, lots of prayers. Lots of
What's today? Friday?
27.
Not the day of the week, I meant Friday. But I guess for us who work from home, day of the week is kind of irrelevant.
Am I crying because of what's happening or the fumes or both? All of the above. I don't know if the fumes have gotten to you, but
Not really,
I think
you know.
the end of this.
When you work from home, you know, every day is kind of like a weekend. You don't have to answer to a 9 to 5, so that's a pro. But then a con is that when things get busy, there's no day off. You don't get a weekend. You don't get a holiday no matter what. Things will happen even on Christmas Day and even on Thanksgiving Day, and on your birthday, on any day of the week. And so, unlike a 9 to 5 when you're off, our job isn't always that case. Pros and cons to both, but that's not the point here. Right now, Meg and I know all of you are wondering, they didn't already see Meg's video earlier. Meg made a video about this a few hours ago, and so this is my first video right here. We are on our way to the Texas A&M vet right now, and we only go there for extremely drastic measures. We would obviously go to our local vets first, which we've already done, but...
Do you want me to give a whole rundown of the story when you're done talking?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Whenever you just let me know.
Yeah, but you guys already know, most of you already know that it is our sweet goat Lulu, one of our fainter babies. She's the fainting mama, but she's been really sick for the past few days, and even despite vet care from our local vet, and even despite us giving her some really strong medicines that normally do the job, the parasites are only getting worse. Her condition's only getting worse. That is how bad. I guess the parasites have control of her, and how weak her body is to not be able to fight them off, even with the aid of Corid, Dewormer, and even with all that other stuff. You can go ahead and tell us the full version if you'd like, Lovely.
Yeah, so I understand. I'm just going to preface this with, I know nobody's being negative, but I always want to preface it because you don't know what you'll do in this kind of situation, especially when there's a going on, until you're a week. I think we would have been able to handle it very differently, but honestly, with it being the holidays and everything happened over a weekend, things had to be handled differently without choice. So she got sick a week ago, last Friday in the evening time. So I think we had been outside and we noticed it immediately that she wasn't doing good. And Lulu, let me preface this with anybody that has animals as pets will understand that, I'm sorry that this is shaking. We're on the highway. I can't fix that. But anybody that has animals and has a significant amount of animals will understand that not all animals handle sickness the same way. And sometimes you have sickly animals. And in our herd, in my mom's herd, I'm sure Papa has some. I'm sure Lester and Jamie have some that they watch a little closer. There are just sometimes some animals that just get sicker than others and don't handle sickness well. Even people are like that. You know, different immune systems. And Lulu's just one of our sick friends who I'm constantly giving B12 to. I She's the first one I'm always looking for. I think there's 2 others in our pasture that we treat that way, and we watch them very closely, and we caught it early, but at the time we caught it, the vet closes and you can't get an appointment. And the way that livestock works is you better hope your vet sees livestock, and they don't get easy appointments either, because everybody's scheduling their pets in right before the holidays, and so there was no way we couldn't get an appointment. And your other option is take her to A&M. Well, she was sick, but she wasn't sick enough to go to A&M, because you can take them to A&M, but there are certain treatments that you can get that you have to be so sick to be eligible for, if that makes sense. So she wouldn't have been eligible for anything at A&M at the time. And so that meant we had to make the snap judgment on Friday of what do you do? How do you treat? And we went, please don't wait like okie dokie. We didn't wait like okie dokie. We noticed it the day it happened with okie dokie, but thanks for the reminder.
Here, do you want me to talk a little bit?
I've got it. I'll get back there. I know I'm giving more details than you are, but I think people find it interesting.
Yeah.
So then what you do is you go, well, what gets sickness the most during this time of year? And because of the ground, because of just the weather in Texas and where we live, and everything around us, it's always either parasites, blood-sucking parasites, or coccidia. So I gave her Safeguard. I actually did her Safeguard. I dosed her at like 65 pounds, and she is not 65 pounds. She's like 40-something pounds. Safeguard has a large margin, but the point is I overdosed her knowing she's a little bit sicker. And with Safeguard, you give 1 treatment, and then 2 weeks later, you repeat the treatment. And then we went and said, okay, if this is coccidia, that's a 5-day treatment. Let's go ahead and start treating her with that. And so we also treated her with Corid for that. Some other friends in the herd presented the next morning with some scours, and so we immediately treated them, and everybody else is okay. Everybody's eyes are very red, meaning they don't have a high parasite load. Everybody's running around very happy today. We filmed a video doing our pasture rotation while all this was going on, and they're happy as clams. Nobody is lethargic. Nothing happening, nothing out of the ordinary. They got their treatment. We did the whole herd when we did Lulu, and they're all good to go. They're all doing great. They're fighting off the parasites. Lulu was not getting better from Saturday to Sunday. I'd say Friday, Saturday, and half of Sunday she wasn't getting better. And we realized, oh, hey, we have fluids from when we had to take care of Thor. We had fluids left over, and we still have the needles and all that, so we began giving Lulu fluids. And she started to get better on Monday, like enough that we were like, okay, she's responding to treatment. Not saying we would have even been able to get an appointment on that Monday, but...
Yeah, you can't just get an appointment to the vet on such short notice, just, even for us. Mm-hmm. Even we can't just do it like that. We've tried to invoke that where I'm a survivor sanctuary, and then they still we had to wait like a month or something like that. Yeah. And then even I was trying to be like, yeah, we're with I'm a survivor sanctuary, make sure to repeat it. And she's like, I know, Ellie, that's even with trying to speed it up for you. We're just so backed up.
And yeah, and even in emergency situations, you can't.
A lot of people have animal emergencies, so who's to say they can't? Who's to say they need to prioritize one over the other? That wouldn't really be fair if somebody else had arrived with an emergency first,
Yeah, and so you have to do what you can, and there are no other vets near us that will take livestock that was open. Like Big Thicket was the only thing that was open, and they were on their holiday hours. So Monday she's doing better. Literally, while I'm trying to give her medicine, she's running away from me, and like spitting her medicine out, like all of these things, like looking better. Even her eyes started to improve a little bit, and so I seeing some of that red color come back, and I was like, okay, this is good. Then so we continued Tuesday was Christmas Eve. We were outside the whole day with her, and I'm not going to say she wasn't not getting better. She was staying stable. And then it turned on Christmas Day. You are not even going to, you can't take an animal anywhere on Christmas Day. And so we kept her stable, and we were, thank the Lord, we were able to get an appointment early in the morning yesterday. We took Lulu in, and essentially she has a massive load of parasites. And so immediately you hear that and you know we're beating ourselves up, because we're like, well, what did you immediately are like, what did you do wrong? And we saw Dr. Cochran, and we sat down and talked to Dr. Cochran, and she's like, look, how's the rest of your herd doing? And we're like, they're good, they're doing great. And she's like, okay, so here's what this is. This is normal. Your goat's getting the parasites with the grounds that you're on. This is just what happens. This is how goats go. This is how animals that can get parasites, this is how it goes. And Lulu is just a goat that's immune system is more compromised than the rest. And so essentially you have to think of it, when you gave her that medicine, you did everything you were supposed to do. But because those whatever worms she has right now are so super resistant, and she does not have enough, I don't even know what you would say.
I can sum it up pretty good, I think. So even with humans, if you get a bottle of Germ-X, it'll say kills 99.9% of germs. It always says that on every label for a bottle of Germ-X. And the reason why is because it's impossible for one to kill 100% of all bacteria and all germs out there. And for two, some of those bacteria are actually necessary to be in your body. Every human, every animal has a small amount of parasites or bacteria or whatever inside of their body. And so when a goat eats grass off of the ground, when they graze like they're meant to do, they'll have, I know the exact number, I learned it at the vet actually, they'll have between 0 to 250 eggs per gram of parasites. That's like a healthy number. Can you believe that? Anywhere between 0 and 250 is actually a healthy, ideal number. And so, if your animals start getting a little bit more, maybe they get to like 270 or 300, 350, I'm just making up numbers, they might start having a little bit of diarrhea, a little bit of pooping, kind of like a human would. When we get sick, we might have to throw up a little bit, we might have diarrhea ourselves if we get a little bit above the number. And so you take medicine and the number goes back down to the healthy amount. And so in the same way, if our goats get a little bit above 250 and they start showing us that the eyes aren't quite as red as they should be, or if they have a little bit of diarrhea, we give them the medicine, the dewormer, the Corid, the Safeguard, and then the number will go back down to a healthy number. And so, like Meg said, we had about 3 or 4 goats that had diarrhea that probably went above their healthy number. And so we gave them all the medicines, and 3 of them got back down to their normal healthy amount. But Lulu just, her number kept going up, because even with the medicine and even with everything that's meant to kill the bacteria, her body wasn't able to, it sounds weird to say finish them off, but her body just wasn't strong enough to fight them off. And so even with medicine, 250 turns into 500, 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 2,000, and the next thing you know, she is at 10,000 eggs per gram, just this whopping astronomical number. That's what, when they tested her fecal, that's what she's at, is about 10,000 right now, just a crazy number. And so at this point, we have to basically resort to extremely drastic measures.
So what she's going to A&M for is, so essentially the way to get better, so okay, I want to answer, did you try pumpkin? So pumpkin is a natural dewormer. That's great to use as your, if you want to use natural dewormers, that's good to use during each month, give them pumpkin once a month. The thing is though, that's only going to treat so much. The chemical dewormer is where you hit it hard. So your pumpkin is essentially your preventative measure. If you live in ground that isn't as bad, I hate to say it, but our ground, y'all know we went through a major flood. Our ground has not had time to heal from that. And I think this is an opportunity to say that. I've been reading that with parasites, to kill them in the ground, it has to get really cold. It has to get below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I just read this.
Yeah, well, all farms around the nation and really in most of the northern hemisphere and whatnot, it gets so cold in the winter that, yeah, the grass dies, so do the parasites. Go back there and check on it. I'll hold the phone right here. Lulu's making a distressed noise, so I'm making a check on her. Sorry, this is a weird angle, you guys. I apologize for the beeping, but makes me go check on her real quick. No, in the wintertime, you know, the grass dies, obviously, but subsequently the parasites that live in the grass die too. And so once spring hits and then the grass grows back, it's kind of like a fresh start with minimal parasites. But over here where we live, it never gets that cold usually, and if it does, only very temporary. So there's no time for the grass to usually die and then it to grow back fresh. So it's almost like a year-round battle we have with these germs. We're really at war with them is what it is. And being in an area where it floods, we're even more so at war with them, just constantly, nonstop. In the same way, like with humans, with animals, any organism, some are just at a natural disadvantage. There's people I know that are anemic, just like Lulu is, and they can take on the iron supplements they want and do whatever, but they just cannot get their blood levels to a good number. For me, with my high cholesterol, I can't really have shakes, vanilla shakes or anything with high cholesterol anymore because I'm predisposed to it due to my genetics. Other people, like Donald Trump, can eat whatever they want to and whatnot and not have any sort of medical problems. They can, or other people I know, they can just eat fast food, eat all the shakes they want and not have any trouble. But, you know, and so Lulu in the same way, she's just at a natural disadvantage. Gus and Hero, other
so
goats
resilient.
are so resilient. They've gotten sick with the same thing, but as soon as their number goes up, they naturally fight off all the bacteria themselves. Just hurt Lulu's body. She's just at a natural disadvantage. There's no simpler way to put it.
And this isn't stuff we're like that. I want to preface too, like, this isn't stuff we're just saying and like we're thinking of. This is stuff that we talked about with Dr. Cochran yesterday. You know, it's stuff that we've been researching with our ground, you know, just in general, trying to do what's best. And we've learned a lot. And one thing we've learned is like we're very blessed, but we are at a severe disadvantage with I'm going to say the Plum Grove area. And y'all think about the flood that we have. All that nasty stuff came in. Yeah, we've mowed our grass since then and all of that, but like that only does so much when it lives in the soil. And so like he said, if it doesn't freeze, you're not killing them. You will never kill them ever. They will always be there, but it's almost out of control where we're at. And so what we have to do is we have to be stronger with our dewormers, and they also will build up a resistance to it. Because even Dr. Cochran, and I swear to y'all that this is what she said to me. You weren't in the room. She goes, are you blanket deworming? Meaning, do you always, like, are you always doing group treatments? I said, we do our group treatments, but not like excessively. And I said, and if anybody outside of the group treatments shows a symptom, treat symptom-based. She goes, that is what I advise everybody, is to treat symptom-based, because what you do when you blanket deworm often, and blanket deworm meaning you do your whole herd, you build up your goat's natural resistance to chemical dewormers, just like you will build up a resistance to antibiotics. If it happens the same way. The difference is human medicine evolves quicker than veterinary medicine does.
I just think it's not an exact science, because some vets say you want to blanket deworm all of them just to keep the entire herd in the same state of health, but then other vets say you only want to deworm on a symptomatic basis so that the bacteria don't get too resistant to the dewormer. And so
what do you do?
There's just pros and cons to any which side. It's kind of like Christianity. There's just so many different denominations because there is no
taking this accent.
Okay, there is no exact science. You just have to try to figure out on a personal level what feels right for you. And so in this way, experimenting with what kind of dewormer and what way to deworm, you're trying to figure out the right way to figure it out personally for ourselves.
And it's very hard. And then you also have to think about all of your emotions attached to it. And she just doesn't like the moving around.
Yeah.
She's not happy with the moving around. That's why she's.
But no, those kind of things are just not right here, Levy. Right here.
Yes.
Yeah, those kind of things just aren't clear cut at all. Because if there was a simple answer that everybody'd be doing the same thing, there would only be one consensus.
Yes. So Amanda, we talked to them. They're aware she's not eating. So I don't know if they'll do a rumen transfusion. I know for a fact she is eligible just based on how pale she is to do a blood transfusion, and they're aware that we're on our way. A&M does things very
keep going straight.
Yeah, tight ship. I do want to say one thing though, and this is coming from Dr. Cochran as well. This is not
Okay, Lulu.
I'll go check on her in a second. I think she doesn't like the stop and go. I think she's
probably sore.
She's stressed.
She cried when we had to lift her up to get her in the car.
She's very stressed.
Her body's just achy, I'm sure.
I feel so bad for her. We even sat here and we're thinking, like, do we even, like, is the stress from the ride gonna be okay? Are we gonna be able to do it? And our last thought was, Dr. Cochran said, there's nothing more that I can do for you.
On the highway right here?
Yeah. She said, there's nothing more that I can do. I've done everything that I can within my capabilities. What you can do for her best chance is to take her to A&M. A blood transfusion will give her best shot, but it's not a guarantee. And so we're aware of that. We're prepared for it. We've had our emotions off camera and on camera. But A&M is her best chance, and God works miracles, and we know that. And so we're hoping with everything in us that you need to get over, and you're exiting or not. Okay. How much further do we have to go? We have an hour.
Yeah, to me it's a no-brainer decision, because if we do nothing, then she wouldn't have a chance anyways. At least this way she has a shot, and a pretty decent one at that, if we can get her that blood transfusion, because I don't know all the exact science of it, but at least reducing her anemia, getting her, what do they call it, hemoglobins up, or down, whatever it is.
Well, no, what it will do is, because the thing with anemia is, I believe there's not enough oxygen traveling, so there's not enough red blood cells to fight off the parasites and continue to replenish the blood. I know.
You want to go? Okay. Lulu.
It's okay, baby.
Mama's going back there.
I forget.
Opens the door for this whole thing. Opens the door for.
She's fine.
She's okay. She's just in pain probably.
Which I don't blame her. I would be talking too. I mean, normally when you take animals to the vet, oh my gosh, I think it's the bumps. I tried to get the blanket as thick as I could to make it comfortable for her. So she's just uncomfortable. I'm sorry you'll have to hear that.
It opens the door, this whole thing, for another almost equally as serious conversation.
Are you going to say it? Are you going to talk about that?
About, is it okay to?
I've
Just
been
about
one.
just about locations and whatnot.
Well, yeah, because I've been one that's always like, yeah, I'm more than willing to talk about it. It doesn't mean anything has to come about it, but I know you've been more reserved in talking about it. So if you want to talk about it, go ahead.
Well, at first I didn't want to
But this
talk about it unnecessarily, but it's probably getting to the point where it's necessary to kind of think about it a little bit. Is
more seriously than we
when we
already
have incidents of parasites, like with Okie Dokie, with Lulu now, with Bree's goat that's gotten sick, with Kim's goat that's gotten sick recently, with, I know Dan's horse that got sick might not be related to the ground entirely, but Pompos had goats that got sick. I know my dad and Jamie did before they left Plum Grove, and so just with how rampant the parasites are where we live, it kind of opens the door to the conversation of, would we be better off living somewhere else? That's the last thought that I ever want to entertain, because I love being around family. I love our home. I love our farm. I love where we live. It's home, and so you never want to jump up and switch locations for nothing. I've moved enough really anyways.
Yeah, we've done a lot of moving, and we wouldn't move if it's not just the animals. There are lots of other factors involved in us thinking about moving, and this isn't something that would because I feel like people are gonna think that this is like something we're like actively pursuing. We're in conversation about it because it's getting out of hand. It's getting to the point where we'll have a good month or two and then somebody gets sick. And we can of course we can test ground, but you can only, here's the thing with treating the ground, you can only do so much before it's left in the hands of everything also around us. You'll have to think about all the civilization that's around us. I say civilization loosely. They're starting to build up higher because they're learning, because they have the ability to continue to build with all the open land they've got. They're starting to build the ground up higher. So when it does rain, even a light rain like it did, well, I'm not going to say it was a light rain, but the storm we had yesterday, how much standing water did we have?
A lot. I was going to say that's kind of what did it for me, because I'm a Morrow. It's it makes family too. We're all family, but of course I'm the Morrow man who's going to have the deepest ties to the land, of course, because I've lived there my whole life. But what really did it for me was yesterday when it was raining, and it was raining pretty strong, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't raining for very, very long. It only rained for a little bit, and in that little bit of time there was so much standing water in our pastures and in our yard. I got a video of it I'll have to put on here at some point.
It's
and
crazy.
And there was so much like runoff water from across the street
Nasty
that
water.
that flowed downhill into our area.
So much trash.
Getting into our soil and everything. And when we were at the vet, I talked to one of the ladies. What happened?
I was just reading what somebody said about ants.
One of our techs at the vet has a farm too. She was talking to us about it. And so I kind of asked her about her land situation, her flooding situation, because it was fresh on my mind. And she said that, we don't even really deworm our goats. We don't really do any of this stuff like that. And I was like, they don't get sick? And she goes, no, they've never gotten sick before.
And she hardly pasture rotates.
Granted, we pasture rotate sometimes. We don't do it all the time. And so I'm thinking that, what's your secret? That's what I said. And she just said that we have good land. We don't flood. We don't have any contaminants and whatnot. And then I kind of asked her about what's going on with us, and I was like, even if there's not standing water, do you think just over the weeks and over the months and the years that it'll get into the soil, like the contaminants from across the street, and it affect our soil? And she was like, oh yeah, absolutely. Just because you don't see it in the form of big old puddles doesn't mean that it's not there and that it's not happening. And so those kind of things start to really convince me that maybe our land is kind of the problem, because it's not fair to us or fair to our babies to keep getting sick and us to Kevin to keep worrying about them and take them to the vet. That's the last thing we want. And then on the flip side, though,
that's not the only reason to move. That's the animal side. We also have to think about our safety in the area. I think it's important for people to know that too. It's not just animal driven. I think when we want to have kids, what school district do we want our children to go to? The flooding is a major thing for what it does to the ground, but also it got really close to our house. We were very blessed that we got no water, and that was not the case for everybody else on our hill, and we're very lucky and very blessed that it didn't happen. But I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to have to worry that every time that we see a lot of rain coming our way, because Lester posted a picture of the radar, and I know, baby, and I started freaking out, and I was like, oh my gosh, are we going to have to start evacuating again? Like, you have to be prepared for that. And if we do, who goes where? How do we do all of this? So it's not just that. That's the big push right now. And I don't, it's everything.
Those are potential benefits to changing locations, but of course the cons is being away from our family. If only we could all move somewhere together, but the land's been in our family since the Civil War. You don't just ditch what your ancestors fought their blood, sweat, and tears for. I have respect for our ancestors as much as anybody. I know Papa would love to hear that I respect David Morrow and all those that fought for the land in the Civil War in the 1860s. At the same time, though, I think if David Morrow and some of them were here and saw what was happening that was out of our control, I think they might be sympathetic to our situation at the same time, seeing what we're trying to do with our animals, with our babies and whatnot. And so, there's that. And then what I'm concerned about is that anywhere you move, I feel like there's always some sort of problem somewhere. And so I hate to be hasty and jump ship thinking that all my problems will go away, but then we end up moving somewhere else and we move to an area that has bad lice or something like that. Your mom's area, Meg's mom has a herd of goats too. They don't have the same parasite problems, but they have really bad lice over there. They have to get this powder and stick it inside of their fur on their spine regularly to get the lice off of them. Lice suck blood too, don't they?
Oh, we shouldn't have animals.
And then
that's good.
And then there's
who are you I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Pisses me off. Sorry.
There's what else? I'm trying to think of other things. Predator problems at other locations too. We're doing good about making our pastures proof from predators, having secure fences and whatnot. But at the same time, we don't have a heavy prevalence of predators like other places do. If we had hogs every night trying to dig under to get in, or if we had wild dogs like trying to hop the fences and whatnot, that would be a whole different story. And so, I'm just thinking, what if we did change locations one day, but then we find that the grass isn't greener on the other side. So there's a lot to chew on, a lot to think about.
It is scary, and you're right, nowhere will be perfect. That's not life. But what's the alternative, And this is kind of where it's easier for me to want to let go because I haven't lived there my whole life, I haven't. So it's easier for me to let go and be okay with moving, But I understand there's a lot that goes into it, but also, like, what happens when we do have kids, Jake and Lissa went through the flood while Lissa was pregnant. Can you imagine having a newborn and having to completely displace like that, but also do your animals at the same time? And there's just so much, and there's so much to chew on, and it's a lot, and it's not something easy you can just do, because you also have to find a place that will support internet for our job, You have to find a place where, for us, is important to us, you're not, okay. If you're not meaning to be mean, then don't say it. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, so the parasites that they have so not all parasites are species specific, but we talked to Dr. Cochran because we were going to we started our pasture rotation a little bit earlier than we probably would have liked to, but it won't affect the donkeys. I believe it's goat specific. The goats can share with alpaca and sheep, but not really like anything else, so they're fine. If there were any parasites on the donkeys' pastures, the goats aren't going to get that because, again, that's species specific. We've trust me.
To some of it, you just have to have hardy animals. Our donkeys are soldiers. They're fighters. They're tough. They're strong. And so,
goats are not. Goats and chickens are not. They're not.
And they are a very, very fickle animal. I think Hero's about the only goat that Dr. Cochran's seen that ended up having good results.
She's the only goat that she's treated that's had good results, and it's just, you can have
that came out wrong. I didn't mean it as far as her. I meant it as far as like when the goat was already far gone. Hero was the only one that showed the proper fighting willpower that you would hope like you see from other animals.
Yeah, it's hard, y'all. It's food for thought. It's something to chew on. It's not something that can happen overnight. There's a lot of factors that go into it. We also have family on the Plum Grove side of town that we want to be close with, and it's just everything is very hard right now. This is honest. Lulu isn't
You want to go back there and show the audience Lulu?
I don't think they would want to see Lulu. She doesn't look good.
I got a few videos I could put on here later. I'll probably be uploading around the clock with this situation. We did get her to drink one thing. Her appetite was entirely gone until my beautiful wife here came up with the most brilliant idea ever.
I gave her Gatorade. Goats love Gatorade. And anybody can argue with me, like, is the sugar, what's wrong?
I was just telling, I read a comment about Pawpaw. I was trying to see.
They're talking about Ivan and Pawpaw. Train of thought.
Pawpaw's a good resource. He just knows
He's
stuff.
a great resource.
He's the one well, we learned the eye thing from the vet, and I asked him about it, and he's been doing it for years. He learned from a vet decades ago, and I was thinking, man, if only we had ever talked about it before that.
It's, y'all, we're doing everything we can.
Did you know that Pawpaw knows like everything about bees?
Yeah.
Because when he was teaching school a long time ago, he had, I think his superintendent or his principal was a bee expert, and they ended up becoming friends. And so Pawpaw went to his house, and the guy showed him about beekeeping and stuff, and so he just taught him like encyclopedias worth of information about bees. And so when Pawpaw does his beekeeping, he knows like everything about them and stuff like that. In the bee movie, he knows the things that are kind of scientifically accurate and whatnot.
Gatorade, that's what I was talking about. Sorry, train of thought. Yeah, we were giving them Gatorade, and you can argue if the sugar in it is good for them or not. But that was the only thing she wanted to drink. Of course, she was getting supplemental fluids and B12. That's every time you hit a bump. Oh, she's standing up.
Don't open the
She laid down. She laid back down.
open the trunk now.
She can't. There's a button. She won't be able to hit it. But yeah. Oh, yeah. She just went to the bathroom again.
Better back there. It's tolerable now. It was intolerable.
It was intolerable the other day. But yeah, it has electrolytes in it, and so she was enjoying some. I didn't want to overload her with Gatorade, but I gave her quite a bit. And she was really actually enjoying it. She was like trying to take the lid away from me, and so she liked it. And I was like, you know what? If this makes you happy, then you definitely deserve it. And so we're just hoping. We're about 15 minutes away from when we need to call A&M. Hoping they'll be able to do everything they can. You know, we know that this might not fix the problem, but we're going to hope and pray for the best. And I'm sorry, I'm just reading comments, y'all. I mean, I think I was reading comments about Ivan or something. I don't know. But yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say? I mean, we could sit here and we could yap for all kinds of things.
It's probably better to... I'm losing my voice anyways. I have a sore throat, so in the event that I need to talk later, I probably need to conserve it for then.
Crazy stuff, y'all. But yeah, we're gonna be there in about 45 minutes. We will keep y'all updated. I don't know in where and what forms the updates will come, but we'll try our best. We're not staying the night here at A&M, so I mean that we already know she's gonna have to stay here for, they said, 24 to 36 hours. So we already know that. I don't know if she'll be able to have visitors, so like I said, I don't know what our videos or what anything will look like in the next couple days. I don't know if we'll be getting up and going to see her, because who knows if she'll even be able to see visitors, you know? And that may not be good for her. I don't know, but it's no question that it might seem a little bit extra to some people who are taking them. These are our babies. These are a part of us. We don't deserve the best, and we can give them the best. So it's a no-brainer that she's going to get the best care we possibly can, and that is A&M. It makes me really proud to be an alumni. Makes me really proud because anytime you hear anything going on with a livestock animal that's really bad, they always, the first place they send you is there, and so it makes me proud to be an alumni. Yeah, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's about it. We love you guys. We appreciate y'all. Keep y'all updated.
We will
YouTube
keep
and
you
Facebook.
updated. Hopefully we'll be checking in soon with some good news. I was going to say bye, friends. It's your
Go ahead,
live.
bud.
You kind of
Go
got
ahead.
it.
It don't matter. Go ahead.